sorry.
We are not in Orlando proper, so that's like saying I'm from Atlanta and I'm actually like 60 miles north of Atlanta, but nobody knows where that is, so you say Atlanta, right? I'll give it to you later. Hey, this is our box convention set. I know you have. Does everybody like that? Was that fun? This was all built from vintage art. We didn't have the actual art, so we had to do scans from old packaging. And there's the figures. Or those are actually the mock-ups. Those are not the real figures that you saw. And as usual, they look better in person than the mock-ups, right?
All right, can we all say that together? The figures look better in person than the mock-up on my computer screen, okay? Just keep that in mind every time we put something up.
This is why people get married and don't just have a computer, right? Okay.
They marry their computer?
No, they don't. They get married rather than just having a computer.
Oh, I'm confused.
Because
anyway.
Computer is, okay. What you see on a computer is not as good as the real thing. Keep going. All right. The name of the set was Force of Battle 2000. Why was that? Because of legal reasons, we could not call the set Battle Force, and that was pretty cut and dry. There wasn't why legal reasons. Somebody else called something else Battle Force, and so we couldn't do that. Okay, so to get the box art, we started with a card scan, and then in some places we had to do some cosmetic work because we didn't have a clean card, the blister had been removed or whatever. And so in addition to that, we had to do changes to update the art to look like our figure builds. So you can see two of those there. Those were pretty simple, not very involved really. That was not too involved. You see I had to change some things up on that one. Not too much, had to redo the helmet, the way the vest looks. And then in some of these it got a little more extensive, where we were missing a leg. Some of these I found another reference so I could digitally repaint it. But you can see how we had to rework helmets and leggings and so forth. Leggings, yeah, that's right, leggings. Okay, this is our original build-up with a figure for Dodger, and that's the build-up, but that's also just the digitally generated image for the head that was dropped in to do the deco on top of. Same thing for Blocker. I didn't have the digital head added to that one yet. These are the digital head turns that we got before they actually 3D printed the head sculpts. These are designed on a computer a lot now and not done the old way with tools and wax and so forth. Here are the other heads. There were a lot of new heads in these toys this year. And how many people have been to one of these before? That's a lot of you, but so you've seen this before, some of you may not. This is a deco call-out sheet. This is after we do the mock-up image and everybody's happy with basically what it looks like. We go through and we pick out the color call-outs and indicate those on the image for the factory in China. That's why some of these poses are not necessarily that you see as preview images, are not the most dynamic, interesting poses, is because they have to be able to indicate as much of the figure as possible in two photos. So I can't have them in 3/4 or crouching or doing all kinds of other things because you really have to see as much of the figure as you can. And there's Blocker, front and back. Thank you. Now this is, people are always a lot of times wondering about color. We go to a lot of trouble to try to match the colors as closely as possible. We use a special Pantone book that has thousands and thousands of production color callouts in it. And occasionally there isn't an exact color match to a toy that was made 30 years ago, but we try to do the best we can. And I think you can see that in this case, seeing the vintage figure next to our convention figure, we got pretty close. These were taken together side by side with just only a color correction done to the entire image to adjust for lighting. But nothing else, nothing was done to each of them individually to make them look closer to each other. That's exactly the way they look side by side. And DJ. We do the same thing with the vehicles. We take a photo of an existing toy, mock it up in Photoshop, and then do the color call-outs. And there's our snowmobile from this year, the Bat Jetpack. All right, now onto our 12-inch set. This featured great box art this year by Larry Selman, who's done a lot of G.I. Joe artwork over the year. Over the years, he's done for Hasbro, he's done for us, and we haven't had an illustrated box in a few years. We've used more of a graphic element sort of design, but we went to him for this, and he just really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and if you don't know what Larry looks like, he's the Marine jungle fighter there. He always paints himself in as the G.I. Joe.
So I think he really gives it he captures the vintage look of 12-inch, and he really adds a lot of energy and a lot of emotion to his work. He always gives us something just spectacular. Those are the figures from this year's 12-inch set. The idea was to bridge the military era to the adventure team with about a 10-year gap in between, which is pretty much the way it was, and have it actually be the same person, starting in one part of the story and then returning to the same locale 10 years later to finish the story.
And it's also the origin story for where the staff, Cobra Commander staff, comes from.
These are the two vintage sets that the convention set's based on. I think probably this is if not the only Marine jungle fighter reproduction that's been done, is I think the best one, I'll say that. And then the jungle survival set, we adapted that a little bit. And I think the only piece that's not in that is
the bear trap.
Is the bear trap. We don't have the bear trap. Other than that, it's pretty close. And that involves redrawing the camo pattern, picking the inks, because they have to custom print the fabric for that shirt on the jungle survival figure. And just like the 3 3/4 sets, you have to do the same type of color call out. You have to go back and draw the stickers that go inside the radio lid, the embroidered patches on the Marine Jungle Fighter shirt. They have to be given exact measurements, how wide they are. Everything has to be really mapped out in a very specific way to get a good reproduction.
And wait,
go back,
because
I forgot.
Laney's very first 3D design item is in that. It's not a big item. It is the silver or gray thing on the left-hand side of the screen, stage left. That is the clip that went on the back of the canteen because that didn't exist. So we had to figure out a way how to manufacture that without cutting a tool. So that's the first thing we've done in 3D printing, and then they glued them on to make that work like the vintage piece did.
So on the fly, I figured out how to use 3D software a little bit and made a piece that they could print for a short run. And then they attached those to the standard military canteen and kind of replicated the adventure team piece a little bit. What is that? That's the pattern for the radio. I had to really go back and create a piece of art so they could take the vinyl and silk screen onto it the pattern for the camo. So that had to be recreated to match the vintage piece. There's nothing to go from. It's all created from scratch. So what I would do is I would scan all sides of the radio, build as much as image possible, and then just start replicating it out to give them enough image that they could print onto material.
And then sometimes they get a little confused. I don't think you can see it in this one, but they get a little confused on the sizing because what they tried to do is they tried to take what they thought was not in scale and make it bigger to be what he thought was 1/6 scale. So we got the first radio back that was very big blobs on the radio, and same thing happened. We had a couple tries at this before they finally understood. Just print it on top of it, okay? That's the way it was done. Trust us, we know it's not right, just do it that way.
And you can see even with the shirt here, we took very specific measurements to try to get as good a reproduction as possible.
Because they're going, it's out of registration, it's out of registration. No, it's not.
If you got the 12-inch set, we did a mini comic for the set to tell the story of the set, just like the vintage sets were back in the 70s. And we got Rod Wiggum, who's done a lot of G.I. Joe art. I blanked for a minute. Rod does just a spectacular job. He's done a lot of Adventure Team comics for us in the monthly magazine, and he's just a great visual storyteller without a lot of, sort of glitzy drawings. He just is able to visually portray motion and progression of events. This is one of my favorite panels. Just a great sense of camera angles, very cinematic. How cool is that? He goes back to the jungle 10 years later to get this artifact that he's been completely obsessed by, and in the spur of the moment, like Indiana Jones, uses it to vault over the snakes to get to safety. Kudos to Todd Pleasant there for that kind of thinking. Okay, these were our figures this year for membership. These have been...
And as far as we know, they're in the mail. They were supposed to mail Monday and Tuesday, but I haven't seen an email that said they mailed them, so we're assuming they mailed. Has anybody seen anybody getting them online yet? All right, good, yay, they mailed them, okay. So, these again, the 12-inch, as you can see, we're getting a little far out there on some things because, just like they were talking earlier today about the adventure team when Derryl did his presentation. They've done 50 adventures of G.I. Joe. We're running out of ideas. Well, that's kind of where we're at too. It's like we're grasping sometimes. But I'll say with Todd Pleasant's help, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, but we figured out, what to do with the arcane adventurer man of mysteries.
One of the great things about Adventure Team in the 70s that was really wise on Hasbro's part is they really drew from the pop culture of the time. If a movie series was popular, if a TV show was popular, you would see an Adventure Team set that had echoes of that in it. So that reduces, you don't have to have licensing because it's just like the thing, it's not the thing. But it really connected, I think, with a lot of us when we were boys because I've seen this. I've been watching Johnny Quest. I've been watching Voice of the Bottom of the Sea. And my parents accidentally took me to a James Bond movie I shouldn't have seen when I was 6 years old.
And then on the 3 3/4 inch side, we're very happy to bring, to update Big Lob and bring him into the modern era with a fine sculpt. And so that's a good looking figure there, isn't it?
That figure was so successful when we did it in 2010. We actually sold out of all the additional membership figures, so we knew that was a hot property, and all the club members really liked getting the O-ring version, and we thought it was perfect timing to re-release Big Lob in the modern era, so he would celebrate the 30th anniversary of the G.I. Joe animated movie.
And he got a great new head sculpt. It's a brand new head. The Man of Mystery, the Arcane Adventurer. Why does he have a white stripe in his hair? If you'd seen the things he'd seen, you'd have a white stripe in your hair too. He comes in his little shorts, I understand. Okay, moving on a little bit here. We'll talk about this item. What's planned for our fourth quarter 2017 club exclusive. It's something we've talked about before, but hasn't yet come to fruition. I'll let Dave talk about this when we get to it here.
So we're confirming again, this is still on the plan, and as we explain each year, we have to work on an annual budget and try to fit as many projects as we can in, but they are building blocks, so when we release a similar exclusive the previous year, it's based on sales, so if sales are slow, that slows down the chance to get in the next vehicle and figure set. So as time progresses, we can also go into the next year's budget, which this year allowed us to change some of the plans that we had. And the one thing that we definitely can confirm is that the Heart Wrencher figure will have a new head sculpt. And here's a preview. This is currently being sculpted, so we just have the artwork of the head turns. but she will be very reminiscent of the character as she appeared in the comic book, at least for her head sculpt. And then we, of course, have to work with the existing body parts, so she will not be an exact replica of the uniform or the lack thereof in the comic book. So it'll be an approximation, but still have that Dreadknok feel and have the Dreadknok colors. And then, of course, a wonderful new head sculpt. So, since it's that time of the year, at JoeCon, we like to give you an advanced look at what we have planned for the following year. And this is what we have planned for 2018. What can it be? Going back to classic Real American Hero, this will be very reminiscent of version 2 rock and roll, so the Gatling Gunner version. We're doing closer to what he looks like from the vintage O-ring version than what was previously planned and canceled on the Hasbro side. So I said we're hoping to get that in as our 2018 3rd Orange project.
Okay, so now, next year's 12-inch membership figure. All right, how many people in here are 12-inch people? That's not too bad considering. All right, see if we can, I don't know how we're gonna ease into this to see how you take this.
You just got to show them and we'll explain it. Oh, we didn't plug the sound in.
All right, when I was a kid, I know this is hard to imagine for some people, I started, the first television set I ever saw was a black and white set. Black and white television was so prevalent, even the very earliest G.I. Joe commercials were done in black and white. I remember the Batman TV, we remember Adam West just passed, one of my big childhood heroes, and when that show would come on, it would always say Batman in color, because not every show on television was in color at the time. So we started thinking about G.I. Joe the way he was first seen by the American public in media. And he looked like this.
It's okay, Race, let it.
It's fine. It's fine not to. It doesn't really need the sound.
So kind of harking back to this, and it was kind of fortuitous last year, you know, Ace brought us all the Lost commercials. So we felt like, you know, in this next year to kind of bring it around full circle and give you back the items that you had when you were a kid, only different. So this figure it'll run a line that's as seen on TV, and he actually will be made in grayscale, okay? So everything, we will pull the different tonalities and make it different grayscale, but kind of like you've seen, you know, the Universal monsters and things like that done in the silver screen type effect. This soldier will be the same type thing. He'll come in just his fatigues and his jacket and jacket and pants, no shorts this year. No underwear, no shorts, okay? And then the add-on will be a box. And the box, we're gonna use the talking figure box, so it's a little bit wider. And so what you're gonna get with that is you're gonna get the boots, a helmet, a rifle, maybe a backpack. We don't have all the things exactly, you know, a belt, a canteen, things like that. So what we're gonna give you is the figure, the box, and then a little bit what I call a snack accessory. It's not a full meal, you know, it comes in the box as well. So you have a fully fleshed out figure, but it will be in the old style box. The other thing that we're going to do is Ace is going to pull from some frames, you know, from the original commercials, and we'll have, you know, some little frames on there of the commercial that you can see as they originally were, you know, to add to that. Now, as a companion to this, there will be 3 more. So if you're doing the soldier, you got to do the Marine, the Navy, and the Air Force. So we will have those as club exclusives as well at the same time. They will be a fully fully dressed figure with the accessories in the same type of box. You know, redesigned, all in grayscale with the little clips from the commercials on that as well. So 12-inch collectors have been asking us for additional exclusives, and this is something else we've come up with that allows us to kind of use the stuff that we have, but make it totally different and unique to something you don't have, that harkens back to the very, 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 very beginning of G.I. Joe.
And it'll look completely unique and different on the shelf. There'll be nothing else. Be something completely different and add to a G.I. Joe, a 12-inch G.I. Joe collectors.
And for a lot of people these days, you know, Todd started the trend, I think, of the micro collection. You know, it's a set of things that you can have the whole collection can all sit together in an area about this big on your shelf. So you can see everything that's in that set. It's not a whole bunch of different things, but then you can have a complete run of it.
It's kind of a neat thing for a 3 3/4 collector who necessarily doesn't want to like dive into 12-inch collecting, but you could get these 4 figures and have kind of a nice historical sort of window back to the past that you would be an all-encompass set of 4. Well, then you could just kind of stop there and not keep going with it.
So, as some of you speculated, we do want to continue with the add-on sets that we had additionally to the club membership figure on the 3 3/4 side, and we want to do similar to what we did this year and release another 3-pack. What could it be? Well, in the FSS 6, we have the Night Stalker's commander, and I saw a lot of feedback online, like, who's she going to command? Well, here we go. We're going to have a Troop Builder 3-pack, and going this time out to be a little bit more unique on the update of the O-ring version is we're going to have an African-American female head as well. It'll be the same Cobra, trooper officer style body we use in this 2017 3-pack, but we will include an African-American version, so you'll have the different hair colors and another style as well.
That gal will buy it. Where is he? Get his name before he leaves. That's cryptic, isn't it?
So we just had,
They're really not looking at it, are they?
We just had the ordering window extended for FSS 6. It did really well, and again, we have to work on an annual budget, and we can only fit so many figures in at a time. We can only do so many new head tools or so many retools of classic weapons and accessories to make it fit within that window of production. So that's what you guys have to keep in mind. However, just to be not a tease about the crystal ball or anything, but we want to peer ahead and at least give you a couple ideas of the figures that will be included in FSS 7.
So basically, we're not going to tell you the whole list, but we're going to tell you some.
Oops, it's literal. So, of course, when we look at the next level of FSS, we have to, start looking at what we can afford to do head sculpt-wise. So we thought, number one new head we would want to do would be Crystal Ball. So, of course, that's what the plan is with this figure. And we have one more that we can share with you this weekend. So we definitely heard you when we thought we were, going to have to close up the FSS process. We did a kind of a one-off of the shattered glass version of the Zaymot that we had featured in our Adventure Team Chronicles comic series in the magazine, and that's all we could do at that time. But of course, everybody that got that figure immediately wanted the classic version of his brother. So in order to do the twin, it seemed obvious, well, you could just reverse it, but it does require a new head sculpt. So again, looking at the budget for next year, we've already slated that Tomax will have obviously a new head sculpt, and we'll try to match so his brother won't be lonely.
Yeah, and we've seen the question, why wasn't this in FSS 6? And originally it was in FSS 6. there's been some tooling changes with the factories, and so this is going to be a little bit harder for us to make because we have to make it at a different factory. And so we said we can't rush this because it may or may not happen. So we'll just push it off to 7, which will give us a longer runway to work with the new factory to get that particular piece made. So we do hear you, and that's what we had intended, but sometimes things don't work out, and you just have to make a change on the run and put something else in. Come on, is anybody going to ask? I don't think anybody's really asked this year, except for the staff. Where's it going to be? That's Fairbanks, Alaska, not Nome. There's nobody who lives in Nome.
Gnomes.
So where's it going to be? Who wants it? Who wants it at their house? Raise your hand. Oh, what is wrong with y'all? I like to go places. Okay, all right, Lanny. Where's it? Pardon me, boy. Pardon me, boy. Is that the Chattanooga choo-choo? Okay, someplace we haven't been before, and at one time Barry Kay told me, there's been places you've taken us to in America that I don't know that I ever would have gone to if the convention hadn't been there. Well, wait a minute, was that a compliment or a complaint? I'm not sure. But anyway, if you have never been to Chattanooga, Chattanooga is a wonderful town. It is a great tourist area. There are tons of things to do there. How many people ever heard of Sea Rock City? Well, this is where Rock City is, okay? So you will get to see Rock City, and stand on the mountain and see 7 states from one point.
If you've never been there, I mean, it is a very touristy sort of city, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to see there. That waterfall you see, you actually go down in an elevator several hundred feet into the side of a mountain and then walk underground back into the mountain. And then you come out into a large, empty, dark chamber. And then they turn the lights on, and that's what's back there. It's this massive ceiling waterfall. It's called Ruby Falls. That's the famous incline railway, the slow-moving rail car that goes up the side of Lookout Mountain. And then that waterfall is in that is in Rock City, which was originally a piece of private property that someone had landscaped, and eventually it was turned over and made into an attraction. But just a nice, great place. A lot of fun stuff to do. You won't be bored in Chattanooga.
And we don't have the date there, but it's going to be June 21st through the 24th. So it's a week later than this. So that will help all the school people on the East Coast and West Coast, okay? So that'll help with that. So what do we got next, Lane?
And I have no idea why there are capital letters in that name.
Yeah, it's Chattanooga.
I was going to say it was a joke because it's Tennessee, but don't know what happened. Thanks, everybody, so much.
Okay, so this is the part, Ray, you got the microphone, where we've got a few minutes for some questions, but we still have to have time to let Mr. Derryl Depriest from Hasbro come up because he's got some things he would like to tell you as well. So, questions. Everybody's got a question. Got one over here. Check. Over here. Run.
Hey, John from Fort Lauderdale. I know I've been brought up before, but with the heart wrencher and the stinger that everybody's, well, not everybody, but I know my brother and I have been going nuts over. I know the possibility's been said before about a vehicle subscription service, but I mean, it would be a great way to finish up the Dreadknok set, maybe, the Sears MSV.
Yeah, I appreciate the thought on that. The problem is there's not enough vehicles left to do. There are really very few tools left to do anything like that. So, and with the amount of time that would take as well, because let me tell you what's going to happen in the FSS. As you can see, we tried to push the date up some. My desire was to dovetail them so that when you got your last figure, whatever is in June, then July would be the next one, or whatever the dates are. We didn't make it for this one. There's going to be a gap, a pretty good gap. For FSS 8, we will have it set up to where it will dovetail right in. So you'll stop one month, the very next month, you'll get the first figure on that one. So you will have some ordering overlap, but in the way that we're going to push up the number of figures that we're doing, a vehicle subscription, it just wouldn't, we just can't do it. But, you know, so, but I understand.
But you don't know that they're available at the factory. I think that's what
Yeah,
you're saying.
just because they were tools doesn't mean the tools are around anymore. Is it another question?
What's up, Brian? What happened to the film festival this year? I wasn't gonna make fun of you guys.
Well, what happened to the film festival is what we've been seeing is every year there was a declining number of entries, which indicated that people didn't want to do the film festival except for the McGarrys. And so, you know, should we see a return next year? I don't know. But that's why we tried to put in the game show, something you hadn't had in a long time, and mix it up a little bit so it's not always the same. So it could be possible you could see more of it, but you'll need to get some more compatriots to, it's kind of hard when we have two films that are submitted and they're from the same family, you know, so we'll see.
I know last year, when everybody thought last year was going to be the last convention, I think you announced there was going to be a 2-year extension. Is that still how it is, or is there any other news you can share with that?
At this time, you know, the next year probably will be the last convention. Okay, that's where kind of we're working everything toward at that point. You know, because there does come a time when, you know, I've made all the toys, now I need to go home and play with them. You know, type of thing. So, but, you know, never say never, but right now, that is the current plan, is next year would be the last convention that the club would do. Now, you know, Hasbro is working on events that they're doing, and so we'll have to see how that goes and how it continues on, and hopefully that will dovetail right into, you know, after our last year. So, but at this point, that's the plan. That's why you're going to see us push figures up and push up more accessories, not accessories, but more figures than you've seen in a year before. I didn't hear. I can't hear you. Go ahead. Next question. All right. If there's no more, Derryl, you want to come on up and talk about? It's a good segue into Mr. Derryl Depriest of Hasbro.
After that last question, you don't be booing me. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. So, just a lot of stuff to say. First of all, Laney, did you ask me for the Battle Force 2000 art? It's all in my office. I've got all those paintings sitting in my office. I'm serious. I'll tell you.
You never call.
I'll tell you a funny thing.
You don't talk anymore.
So, you know, we have at Hasbro, we have not had a very good track record over the years of policing our, not policing, but just documenting all of the assets that we have throughout our chain. So one thing I embarked on about a year ago is I said, I want to do a couple of things. I want to, first of all, document every single piece of original G.I. Joe package painting art that we have that exists everywhere. And I've hunted every corner of every building and storage facility to find what we have. I wanted to document it, preserve it, and secure it to make sure that, you know, nothing ever leaves Hasbro. And we have found and uncovered a staggering number of pieces of work that we haven't seen before. And I can't really tell you too much more, but there will be some special things that are going to be done with that art. So you guys will eventually see it, and hopefully you'll be able to see it in person at some time, and that will be part of HasCon. I'll get to that in a minute. But Lanny, you started on the Battle Force 2002, but we do have the majority, I would say, of the paintings of Battle Force.
It's okay. It's job security.
So yeah, exactly. So let me see. There's a few things to say here. So mainly, I wanted to come down to reveal our San Diego Comic-Con exclusive to you guys. But we had a much bigger fish who wanted to release that, and so our PR department talked to I09, which has a massive millions, reader base, and we couldn't pass up that opportunity. So I wanted to kind of surprise you guys with it, but when they broke the news, we just had to go with it. So our exclusive this year is the surprise. It is. Am I going backwards? We're going to Chattanooga.
It's a Chattanooga playset.
The other way? Right. The other way. The top. Wait, this is right. We're going to Chattanooga. Chattanooga is wonderful.
I'm going to try.
Just the Civil War battlefields alone are unbelievable, in Chattanooga. So.
Now I've got.
We appreciate you. We do. We appreciate you.
Keep going.
That's a live feed from behind us. And that's me. And yeah, Mr. Fan headquarters. So this is actually an idea I had. So I didn't have one of these in my collection. Said I have to check that box. So I went and actually got one off eBay. And said, you know what? We could actually recreate this. This isn't too difficult. It's such a holy grail. And we actually went up to our archives. Mine was kind of assembled. It wasn't flat. So I said, I bet you we have one of these in our archives over in our Central Falls facility. And lo and behold, we did. The figures were missing. Somebody had taken the figures out years ago, but all of the sheets were uncut. And I said, the opportunity's here. We're going to recreate this set. So we did that, and the designer who did this set is Bobby Valla. And I don't know if you guys have met Bobby Valla. He has mostly worked on the Marvel business, but he is a massive, massive Joe fan. As a matter of fact, he has tattooed on his arm a Joe articulation model. So he's a living, walking example of G.I. Joe articulation from a Real American Hero series. That's how much he loves it. So I hope you guys can meet him. He did the set. I think next slide. It's a slavish recreation of the original set with following the original dial lines and everything with updated art, slightly updated contemporized art to match the post 25th anniversary sentiment. And the figures are absolutely incredible. And you'll notice that the logo on Cobra Commander is the original, first Cobra Commander logo that shipped. Especially here, we won't call it what you guys call it. But these are really cool. And Bobby updated. These are all unique figures that are unique and exclusive to the set. So I apologize in advance. There are very desirable troop builders in here that that are part of the set, and it comes with a cool file card holder. Next. I think, is there another one? And the back of the box. So this is actually kind of magic. We took the one from archives, or actually I think mine was the model for this, and our team was a package designer named Sean Scott, who took that and basically wanted to recreate the feeling of aged cardboard. Now this isn't made of, it's actually a lithograph process, so it's smooth on the back, but it looks like it was an original, weathered piece. So actually, you'll see an interview from Sean and Bobby in the next issue of the Collectors Club newsletter. They're super happy to tell you guys their passion for creating this set. And I think, is that about it? All right. So, and there's a picture of the figures, so look for that. It's a convention exclusive. I think, yeah, that's it. Okay, so part of this is our G.I. Joe product for the year. So this is the other thing I wanted to come and really tell everybody in person, although I hinted at it in the letter that that everybody got when they came into the convention set. We will not have any G.I. Joe product at retail this year, and probably next year as well. The next time G.I. Joe will come back at retail will be with the next piece of entertainment. We are working hard to make that happen, and our theatrical partner is Paramount, as you well know. It will be Paramount's news to announce, because they're the ones who fund G.I. Joe films. So we don't have any news right now, but there's a lot of passion and enthusiasm for making that happen, and I can say it's a very, G.I. Joe is a very important brand for Hasbro. It's very important for the publicly stated initiative we have called Hasbro Universe to, bring a collection of new properties together in a shared storytelling universe, and G.I. Joe is the anchor franchise for that universe. So while I don't have any particular news, and I can't announce anything, it'll probably come from Paramount. The next time G.I. Joe will be back will be with when we get theatrical entertainment. So that's what's going on for G.I. Joe right now. I do want to take the baton pass because somebody asked Brian an important question. I think it was you, sir, about what is the the future of JoeCon, and I think Brian answered that. The intention here is the enthusiasm that has brought us together for year after year, and I think might be my 24th JoeCon, right, is so vital to the fandom of G.I. Joe that as we look at HasCon, and this is the first year of HasCon, which will be September 8th through 10th this year in Providence, it is the beginning of something that I think can be very great. What HasCon will not be this year is the kind of convention that JoeCon is. JoeCon, if you look at all the panels and all the activity at JoeCon, it is by the fans for the fans. It's truly, you guys are driving the panels, all the news and information, whether it's costuming, writing, podcasting, all the things that we've had this year and in the past, is really about fans creating things to share with other fans. And that's what makes it magical and great. HasCon this year is about getting up and going with brand experiences for a very wide range of brands, not just G.I. Joe, although G.I. Joe will be an important part of HasCon, I'll tell you that in a second. But we are celebrating a lot of very big brands. So I knew that we could not recreate this particular feeling at HasCon, but instead we are working on a very different type of experience, but very good and very deep. And so I can announce that today we have solidified our plans for the G.I. Joe VIP experience at HasCon that will take place this year. It will take place on the Friday of HasCon, so September 8th. And to make that all the more magical, I've invited the help of Dan Klingensmith. Dan is going to be my partner and co-MC to really pull together a fantastic experience that will be centered on the legends of G.I. Joe. So we will have what I hope is the largest assemblage ever gathered of G.I. Joe, a real American hero, legends, the creators, to really talk to you, both with a couple of great panels and hear some new stories, as well as at a very special dinner event that we're pulling together. And that dinner event will consist of not only time spent with the legends, but also some very special VIP gifts and merchandise that we'll have for that show. So the tickets, as you guys, if you've looked into it, HasCon, we've set the VIP experience at $600. That's a stiff price. I have been brought onto the HasCon team specifically for the purpose of fan engagement and marketing. So for the next 3 months, I am assigned to the HasCon team, not just for Joe, but across the board, to make sure that anybody, all the fans who are going to the show, are fulfilled, that they are getting more than what they signed up for. So that's what we're working on, and that's why I've brought in Dan, because he has a direct connection with you guys and the legends. He is a fan like you, and just like me before I joined Hasbro, it's very important that we have that experience. So Dan, thank you very much for coming on board. In addition to what I've just talked about, we are going to be we'll be announcing more of the details within the next 2 weeks, so you guys can see absolutely all of the activity. I can't talk about it today. But one thing I will tell you is, for anybody who does come to experience this, I am curating or cultivating a collection of never-before-seen things that will debut for the very first time. They're package paintings, the stuff I've gathered in my office. We'll have design artifacts that are never seen before and product pulled from our archive. And the goal is to have a mind-blowing assortment of stuff that hasn't been seen before in the public. And I'll be working to pull that together, and with Dan's help, to advise and curate on that. So that's the great news, is that we're pulling in fans to help us tell this story, and I couldn't be more pleased, and the goal is to really knock people's socks off. But the bigger story I want to talk about is you know, as HasCon grows and as Brian has talked about, you know, the JoeCon, you know, future, we don't know. It could be 1 year. Hopefully it's more. I don't know. But, you know, the goal is to have fandom be, you know, an important part of our experiences going forward. So know that, you know, that's what I understand as a fan myself who's been involved in the hobby for so long, is to have you guys fulfilled in that experience. Like, fans come first. It's all about you, the fans. And so we're building experiences with you guys in mind to make it rewarding and fulfilling, to continue wherever we celebrate Joe, to have you guys, you know, be present and think that we built the experiences around you. So a lot of it is yet to be defined, yet to be written, but wanted to give you an update on that. So look for details on HasCon in the coming weeks. It'll be clear, and G.I. Joe will be a very, you know, very richly celebrated brand there. So I think with that, if there are any questions, yes. So we don't have anything to offer collectors. So we actually, the Missile Command headquarters set was on the shelf. That's really all we have to offer there. So if I can be clear, there is no product coming this year. You can talk to me anytime at the show that I'm free. I am the G.I. Joe team.
You really don't need anybody else for G.I. Joe.
It is me.
He knows more than the rest of the company put together.
And it wouldn't do any good to bring designers right now because I can't give you any granularity. So we're, you know, beholden on the entertainment news to work on the designs for what's coming. So. Well, that's a very fair question. So, I'll answer something for you now. Until we started canvassing this, we actually didn't even know what we had. This is nobody's job at Hasbro to own the archives and to actually document what exists. I have taken it upon myself to start documenting everything that we have. But before that, we didn't even know. I couldn't even tell you if we had 2-ups in the building, but we do, right? And a lot of them. Yes, sir.
So I already know how the Transformers fandom feels about this idea of the everything but the kitchen sink kind of convention that HasCon looks like it's going to be. Since we're here, can we poll the room on who's interested in that everything but the kitchen sink convention approach?
Well, I would say we actually haven't released any information on what you should expect from a brand experience at HasCon. So any idea you have on what the experience may be is guided by exactly what you said. The brand I love isn't the only focus of HasCon, and that's, you know, the goal is we have brands that appeal to an incredible range of people, all the way from little girls who love, you know, Littlest Pet Shop to, you know, the teens and tweens who love Nerf, right? And everything in between. So I don't think a poll right now, without the information that I told you were promised, doesn't mean a lot. So that's why we're working to get you all the information so you can make the decision that you want to make. So we're not forcing you to go, but yeah. Well, that's certainly a good problem to have, and our operations team, has been talking with the city of Providence for months now. So I'll let them worry about the operational logistics of it. I will say Providence has a staggering number of hotel rooms, right, for a city its size. Yeah.
A couple questions about the Missile Command Center.
Oh.
A couple questions about the Missile Command Center. It's going to be an SDCC and HasCon shared exclusive?
So I cannot officially confirm anything yet, but
Gotcha. No,
yeah.
Now, regarding the construction of the actual, is it cardboard like the original, or is it an updated kind of maybe a plastic or kind of material?
It is cardboard like the original. I'll actually take it out of the case if you guys want to see it.
Sure.
Later, after this, I'll open it up for you. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's one in the charity auction tonight. It's really the first one off the line, and Bobby Valla and I both signed it, so we'll put that in the charity auction too. So available before anything else. Good question.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
One of the premier conventions in San Diego, I think it's like $300 for the whole event to get in. How did you guys come up with such a high fee when that convention is in the $300 price range to get in for all the days?
So I don't have an answer for that. So I wasn't involved in setting the prices, but our job is to make sure that is entirely justified. So it's a fair question. It's a high ticket price. We've given you no further information on what that entails. That'll be forthcoming. So it is a very different experience from what you get at San Diego, I will say that.
Wait. Okay, now.
Just as you mentioned that you have no forthcoming details on the $600 price tag, what are we like, less than?
We're close to 3 months out of the
3 months out, and you expect people to drop $600 on the experience. The experience of what?
Sorry, I just spent time saying in 2 weeks. Our goal is within 2 weeks to have crystal clear detail for you on exactly what you can expect, whether you're a Joe fan, whether you're a Transformers fan, or My Little Pony fan. So that's coming. So right now, I don't expect you to buy $600 tickets because you really don't know what you're signing up for. That will be coming. Somebody had a question over here. Good job, Race. Yeah. Living up to your name.
First, thank you for being here, Derryl. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. Wouldn't miss it.
Hasbro's done a great job of licensing the G.I. Joe brand to other toy manufacturers to get the G.I. Joe brand out in different ways beyond the 4-inch figure scale. I'm wondering, with you saying that there won't be any toys until the movie comes out with the 4-inch, have you considered licensing your brand to someone who could produce something other than, all the other products that you license out? Is the 4-inch off limits, or
Yes.
is that something?
Yes, we will not I've actually investigated this. We will not license out anything that would conflict with the product that we would bring out in a couple key ways, because it actually wouldn't be fair to that licensee, because when we do come out with, say, another movie line, it would really put them in a very difficult position. So if I told you we have no entertainment coming, G.I. Joe is a legacy brand at Hasbro, but there's no active investment in reviving it and bringing it back and recreating it for the next generation, that might be a different thing. Like we manage Tonka. Tonka is entirely licensed out to Funrise. G.I. Joe is not in that situation. So because we have plans to bring it back in a big way when there is entertainment, we're not in a position to license out anything that would either compete with something we do or put a licensee in harm's way. Because we would, clear the fields. So,
All right, well we've got to go on to the next panel because Brad is going to come in. So if you have any other questions, we'll be happy to take them offline. And so once again, we appreciate all of y'all being here, and I hope you have a great weekend. And thanks to Derryl for coming to answer questions.